I'm gonna fuck your shit up! Ah! Ah!
What it is, YouTubers, my name is Batman, and I thoroughly enjoy both Battlefield and Call of Duty. But when it comes to YouTube, I feel strongly that both communities for both games have been grossly infected with a severe strain of douchebag suck dickism. With the COD community, it's an explosive, intolerant, scorched earth, and everyone on it, including other COD players, hateful, combative, vitriolic, and immovable spite that consumes and destroys everything it touches. It cannot be reasoned with because that is the nature of the game itself, and not even COD players deny it. However, with the Battlefield community is that it is actually much simpler. It is an elitist superiority complex, and unlike the COD players who would kill one another in real life, the Battlefield community sticks together with a mutual respect for one another and a mutual disdain for anything and everything Call of Duty related. And this is a self-destructive problem that hurts Battlefield immensely. A perfect example, I think, is Drifter. Solid channel, solid guy. He started posting Battlefield videos, and you know what? He eventually stopped and said it was because he was tired of all the hate he was getting from Battlefield players who don't want channels that post COD to post Battlefield as well. That is ridiculous! It's an elitist mentality that harbors this militaristic tactic of standing firm against anything and everything at all related to Call of Duty. And the ultimate irony is that the Battlefield players who partake in this are fighting with the intention of defeating COD when really they are only crippling Battlefield. Drifter not posting Battlefield videos is Battlefield losing advertising. But the bigger problem is in the comments sections, of course, where the Battlefield community goes to war with the COD community daily, and both are equally to blame for this. But my advice to fellow Battlefield players is to avoid this kind of elitism because it repels new players. And Battlefield needs new players to defeat Call of Duty. And you may not like those players, but this is about the very foundations of gaming itself. The game that sells more, which in this case is Call of Duty, will force the game selling less, like Battlefield, into slowly morphing itself into the game that is selling more. And I think there's plenty of evidence so far to support that claim in regards to Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 will have a search and destroy game mode. It has a point streak reward system where they just replace the air support with perks. It's eerily similar to the MW3 Specialist class. The maps are getting smaller with an emphasis on fast-paced twitch shooter-based gameplay. What does that remind you of? Now don't get me wrong, DICE has had a very impressive showing this year, and in my humble opinion, they have certainly outplayed Ghosts in the opening round. But this is largely due to the fact that Battlefield has been able to showcase a bunch of next-gen features that COD can't compete with because COD has to worry about an audience transitioning between consoles, whereas Battlefield doesn't really, because the majority of their audience is on the PC, because the console versions of Battlefield just aren't anywhere close to the PC version, nor can they compete with COD on console. And that's because Battlefield is stripped of some of its best features on current-gen consoles, like 64 players and amazing graphics at 60 frames per second. But obviously, that's no longer the case on next-gen technology, so DICE gets to pull out all the stops on next-gen Battlefield 4, while Call of Duty has to build a game largely designed for current-gen consoles. This, I think, has given Battlefield an edge, not only in the pre-marketing, but also because Ghost has to be mostly current-gen tech. Battlefield will, I suspect, emerge as the clear winner on the new-gen console. Keep in mind, the two biggest things holding it back, again, have been the lack of 60 frames per second, which some people say isn't a big deal, but it is. There's an obvious difference in visual quality, and even if you ask someone who doesn't know what frames per second is, they will tell you that COD runs, and I quote, smoother. And also, the pacing, which was really slow because it was capped at 12v12 on maps that were made for 32 versus 32. But those things are both fixed in Battlefield 4, and along with a lot of new, unprecedented stuff they're bringing in with Levolution and Commander Mode, I think it's going to be a significantly more entertaining game on the new-gen consoles than Call of Duty will be. But that doesn't mean that Battlefield is going to outsell COD this year, because most people still won't have upgraded to the new gen. But it is going to allow Battlefield some significant gains, and I think some people feel like the writing is already on the wall, that because Battlefield will no longer be sort of handicapped by current-gen consoles, DICE will be able to drive the stake right into the heart of Call of Duty. But you have to keep in mind that Call of Duty has also been handicapped by current-gen consoles as well, or maybe simply capped is a better term. They have maxed out what they can do on current-gen tech with their formula. They maxed out years ago. And their formula is distinctly different from Battlefield, because Battlefield's formula basically doesn't work on the current-gen consoles at all. And that's a big reason for why COD has seemed like the same exact game re-released every year for so long. They can't really add anything new because they maxed out on current gen, which means all they can really do is rearrange or replace stuff like perk systems or renaming the AH-6 Overwatch to Escort Drone. And what I'm saying is, I'm positive that once the next gen transition is complete in a year or maybe two, when the majority of players have switched over, Call of Duty will come out swinging with their own unprecedented next gen tech, and I can very easily imagine them putting in their own 32v32 size matches with their own vehicular gameplay. But the one thing that I guarantee you will not stop is their extreme efficiency and cleverness at removing the skill gap. And that sucks, because it's like I said, the game that is on top is the game all other games will try to copy. And whoever comes out on top in the first 2 years of the new gen consoles will probably be on top for the rest of that generation, meaning whoever wins those first 2 years will define what FPS multiplayer looks like for the next decade. And that sucks ass if COD wins out, because removing the skill gap is the thing that I think is destroying the entire integrity of FPS games. Halo 4 copied the skill gap formula and took huge steps to minimize it by nerfing vehicles and power weapons and that ridiculous bullet magnetism and letting everyone spawn with a plasma pistol BR combo. Imagine if in Halo 2 you had told everyone that in the future you could spawn with the noob combo every time. There would have been a goddamn revolt. Halo copied the COD skill gap formula for sales, and it ruined the game for me and has left a permanent stain on the franchise, in my humble opinion. But it's inevitable. The game on top is the game every other game will have to copy, and again, Battlefield is already taking very subtle steps towards becoming the monster it has worked so hard to destroy. And like Call of Duty, they are subtle from game to game, but then after a few games it becomes drastic and irreversible. For instance, the simplification and complete symmetricization of every map and piece of cover in COD was gradual at first, but if you compare Black Ops 2 to World at War, the difference in complexity is shocking. Battlefield has its own sort of point streak reward system now. It's just perks for now, but maybe 2 years from now it's weapon and player enhancing abilities, kind of like Halo, and then 2 years after that it's full-fledged air support. And it's not that DICE wants to be like COD, obviously they don't. But it's EA ultimately that is calling the shots, and EA wants money, they aren't interested in the art. I actually think it's very impressive and commendable how long DICE has been able to retain their individuality and healthy size of their skill gap, but the dominoes have started falling, people. Don't you see that? For now it's minor changes that look like Call of Duty, but if they are still behind 2 years into this new gen console, the skill gap will start shrinking on Battlefield as well. And if Battlefield falls, if Battlefield caves on the skill gap, every single game after will cave on the skill gap as well, and it will ruin the sanctity of FPS multiplayer itself forever. Battlefield is the motherfucking line in the sand. Okay? It has to hold or all is lost. We are on a precipice that can tilt in either direction. And to understand how we can tilt things in the right direction, stay tuned for part 2. And please remember to rate and like me on Facebook for non-stop Battlefield 4 and Ghost action when the time comes. This is Batman, signing out.
I'm